Now for this segment, I interviewed Dr. Charles Heath, who's the director of Maharishi Jyotish for North America. He had some wonderful things to say. It was a truly inspiring interview, and I know you will enjoy this.
Maharishi Jyotish calculates the sequential unfoldment of life and determines the quality of time. So any negativity seen in the future of any person, of any company, of any country can then be amended using Maharishi's Vedic technology of Maharishi Yagya. The big challenge for me was explaining it to my mother.
I see. As we all have the challenge from time to time, please explain. Go in.
So I had the chance to go on the Jyotish teacher training course in '89 in Canada, and I called Mom from there to tell her what I was doing, and she immediately changed the topic. So I buckled down and did my study, and we learned all about the 9 grahas, the sun, the moon, and the planets. We learned all about the 12 rashis. We learned all about the 12 houses or the bhavas, and all about the 27 nakshatras. So by the time I got home, I could calculate a birth chart. So when I was back in Portland, Oregon, and I found my mom's birth certificate on her desk, and it had her birth time. So here I was looking at a map of the solar system at the time that she was born, and I was describing this cosmic map. But what she was hearing was about her personal life. And this is what makes Jyotish work. Everything is connected to everything, and it all comes together.
Now, if it's all calculable, where does free will come in? I mean, do we have free will, or?
That's a great question, and it's interesting that it comes to me here on this ground, because it was 40 years ago when I was an MIU student here, and there was a Forest Academy. It was our second one of my first year. And in that Forest Academy, Maharishi explained that there's 100% determinism along with 100% free will. So he explained, if you go to O'Hare Airport, you have complete free will to get on the flight you choose. But having chosen the flight to New York, then usually you're going to end up in New York. So free will and determinism are really two sides of the same coin. We're always confronting the determinism of the choices we've made in the past, and we're always exercising our free will to help make the better choices for the future. The choice to sit down and meditate is really the best use of free will. Many of you may have heard this ancient parable about the teacher and 2 students. And the teacher sent the students away for a week. And one felt, this is my chance. I'm just going to meditate, and I'm going to expand, and I'm just going to be here. And the other one said, well, this is my chance. I'm going to town. I'm going to have a great good time. So they met up together after a week. And as they're going back to see their teacher, the fellow who'd been to town, he came across a gold coin along the path, picked it up, put it in his pocket. Whereas the fellow who'd been meditating actually stubbed his foot, kind of injured himself, and kind of hobbled the rest of the way back. So when they got back, our meditator asked the teacher, you know, what happened here? And he said, yeah, you're right to ask, because everything that we're doing is also contributing to what we're experiencing. And you had this great experience of settling yourself down, creating a very orderly present. And because of that orderly present, then only a little bit of that serious leg injury that you were due could reach you. So our meditation is the modifier for everything that's coming. And he said, well, that's great, but what about my friend? He said, oh, the one that was due the bag of gold. Because it works the other way too. So I'd like to read a little quote from Maharishi. Everything is set for the future, but it's always open to resetting by what we do now. In the past, we've been less developed, but we're more powerful now. Whatever we cause to set for 10 years in the future, that could be enriched by what we do now, because we're more developed, we're more powerful. More wise actions will now influence what has been set for us due to our past. Destiny is our own make. we can remodel the structure because we now know how to make it. And Jyotish Mati Pragya is the light contained in consciousness. When the Jyotishi really has his inner intuition turned on, then he doesn't even need to calculate the birth chart in order to come up with the right prediction. We actually had this experience, my wife and I, in Chicago, when we had one of the Jyotishis living there in the Maharishi Vedic University, and we had a question for him about my father-in-law, who had a very serious and inoperable cancer, and all the doctors thought that he wouldn't make it. And we asked the Jyotishi, will he? Using the principles of Maharishi Jyotish, do you see him making it? So he studied the chart for a minute, but then he set the chart down, and he closed his eyes. And after a minute in silence, he opened his eyes and said, he will make it, he will beat it, but other issues are coming. So this guy really had it because he was correct about beating it, which no doctor agreed with it. Jyotish distills the incredible vastness of creation to 3 numbers. And those numbers are 9, the 9 grahas, 12, the signs and the houses, 27, nakshatras. And Maharshi's edition is now down to 3 and 1. Because everything is founded in that fundamental of Rishi, Devata, and Chandas, or the Sanghita of Rishi, Devata, and Chandas, the unity of knower, knowing, and known. So when you think about it, that consciousness, when it's fully developed in the Jyotishi, then he has that Jyotish Mati Pragya, and then all the details in the life can be seen just on the level of consciousness. So Maharishi's contribution is the understanding of the fundamental importance of consciousness in any Jyotish reading.